throw up, I would choke on it because I couldn't open my mouth. It was wired shut. But my mom and Todd and my nanny, eventually everybody would give me a little sip of water out of a straw, just a little bit, just so I could have, just to taste some water in my mouth, because it was excruciating. It had been months since I had anything to eat or drink. The week before I got to leave the inpatient rehab facility, I got my jaws were unwired and fixed, and they took this out so I could breathe on my own, because my mom said, I'm not bringing her home with that. She said, I'm not a nurse. There's been 10 of y'all taking care of her here. I am not a nurse. I cannot take that trach out. I do not know how to take that trach out and clean it daily. And, I just can't do that. I'm not going to do that. So at that point, I was ready. I was ready for it to come out. So they took it out before they sent me home with my mom and my fiance. But we went to my mom's house with a hospital bed. I had gone from a staff of 10 people taking care of me, around the clock care, to my mom and Todd taking care of me. My dad would come over and help take care of me. I had my sisters sometimes taking care of me. My mom's friends would come help out sometimes, help my mom out, because I still had my 2-year-old son at this point, and my husband, or Todd, had to eventually go back to work. So it was my mom taking care of me all the time, and my 2-year-old son, and my 12-year-old sister, and the house, and it was just overwhelming for my mom at sometimes. And eventually my mom talked to me about putting my son Kyler in Mother's Day Out, just so he would have a couple of hours a day to go interact with kids. And it would give my mom a break, and it would give him time to get away from the stress and the negativity and seeing his mom be sick all the time, or his mom being hurt. And I knew it was best for him, but it just broke my heart. I didn't want him to have to go, but I said, okay. And the first day he was excited, but then he didn't want to go anymore. He would crawl up in my bed and cry and say, Mommy, please don't make me go. I don't want to go. And that would literally break my heart. He would leave, and I would be laying in bed crying because I still could not get up and walk or anything. I had to miss his first day of going to preschool, going to Mother's Day Out, and it just killed me. But I know that he went where he was loved. The teachers there, everybody was just awesome. My whole town kind of rallied around me, and everybody knew what was going on, and if we needed help or anything. My hometown community was just amazing. I had a couple of different benefits where everybody was amazing. The money helped out tremendously, because I eventually started going to Houston because Beaumont just wasn't doing it anymore. I had been on Vicodin for 2 or 3 months around the clock because I hurt so bad, and I would call Beaumont Bone and Joint and say, hey, can I get some different pain medicine? I don't necessarily need something stronger, just something different. This is not doing anything for me anymore. I cried all day long. I couldn't even sit up and eat because I hurt so bad. I got down to like 111 pounds, and that's very tiny for me. I've always been a bigger girl, full of muscle. I was an athlete. I was never 111 pounds, maybe in the 5th grade. But that was, I couldn't do anything because I was miserable. I couldn't even turn over on my stomach because I had the metal fixators still on my legs. I had to wear those for 6 months. But Beaumont Bone and Joint accused me of selling my pills or misusing them, and I just cried and said, I don't think y'all understand. I don't think you understand the pain that I'm in. Like, this is crazy. Just give me something different. Well, we went to Beaumont Bone and Joint one day for a checkup, or maybe to ask them, like, why does my tailbone still hurt so bad? What is going on? And he just said, well, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. We waited probably 2 hours, and I spent 5 or 10 minutes in the room with the doctor. They just refused to help me. They just thought I was there to get more medicine, and that wasn't how it was at all. So my mom and I thought, well, it's time to go to Houston. So we went to Houston, and back up. Before I went to that doctor's appointment, in the last doctor's appointment in Beaumont, I had gone to Houston to MD Anderson to get injections, some kind of injections in my back to help with the pain. And I had done it before, and I went back the second time, and the doctor, they have where you can see like a ultrasound or x-ray where you can see it up on the screen as they're doing it. And he said, I can't do these. And I said, why? And he said, well, your tailbone is broken. And I said, I know, it was broken a long time ago. It's just, it's been broken and it's healed. And he said, yeah, but it's not healed the way that it should have healed. And I think this is what's causing a lot of your pain. And I said, wow, okay, well, that's really good to know. I said, can you give me the name of a doctor that can help me? And he said, absolutely. He wrote down a doctor's name and phone number, and they didn't know my backstory, so they were busy. They couldn't get me in for like 2 or 3 weeks, which, okay, I'm not going to be mad at that, whatever. I called Beaumont Bone and Joint and said, hey, I went to a doctor and had pain injections in my back, and they couldn't do it because it's still broken. Can you get me in so we can figure this out? I was still trying to give Beaumont the benefit of the doubt that they were going to make it right and they could fix it. Well, they said, oh, well, we can't get you in for 3 weeks. And I'm like, but I'm telling you, my tailbone is broken. That's why I'm hurting so bad. Well, we can't get you in for 3 weeks. So they got me in, and that's when they told me, there's nothing broken here. That doctor, he's not an orthopedic surgeon. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I was so mad whenever I left there. Even a veterinarian can tell you if a bone is broken. I could see where it was broken. I picked it out on there and said, look, this is where he said that it was broken. No, it's not. It's not. So he refused to tell me that they had missed something, or that it wasn't, I wasn't in any pain. So the very next day, I had my appointment with the new doctor in Houston. And he did x-rays of me laying on my side, on my stomach, all different ways that Beaumont had refused to do. They just did it with me laying on my back. And I asked him, hey, this is how they found it. Do you want to take x-rays in a different way? No, it doesn't matter. All x-rays are the same. Okay. So when I went to Houston, they did all different angles of x-rays, and the doctor came in the room and he said, oh yeah, it's broken and it's pushing on your nerve. It is healed in a 90-degree angle, which is pushing on your nerve, which obviously is causing tremendous pain and also keeping you from going to the bathroom on your own. So it healed at it looked like an L. And I said, wow, okay. He said, well, when would you like to have surgery? And I said, like yesterday. And he said, well, can you come back in the morning? And this was about 4 p.m, and I was in Houston. And he said, can you be back at 6:30 in the morning? And I said, absolutely, I'll be back. So I drove home, got my stuff packed, and Todd and I were back the next morning, and I had surgery, and he fixed it, and he got it off of my nerve. And within 24 hours, I got up to go to the bathroom on my own, and I could go pee. And Todd was sleeping in the bed in the room, and I started freaking out. Todd, I can pee. and he thought he thought something was wrong. He thought I had fallen off the toilet or, whatever. And he was like, what? He came in there and I said, Todd, I can go potty by myself. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's good, but you just freaked me out. But I was overjoyed with excitement that I could go to the bathroom on my own. So over the next year and a half, probably over the next 6 months, I did tons of therapy. In Houston, I said, forget Beaumont. They didn't help me with anything. So I started driving the hour and a half drive to Houston every day for a while, there and back every day for a while. But my aunt lived in Houston, so I eventually started going on like Monday night, or going to therapy on Tuesday, staying with her Tuesday, Wednesday, going to therapy on Thursday, and then coming back to Lumberton Thursday night. So that helped me tremendously. My aunt was a godsend. I would bring Kyler with me sometimes so he could see my aunt, and she just took him to do all kinds of fun stuff. So that was a break in the change for things too. I've also met lots of people along the way that had way less injuries than I had, and they were wheelchair bound. And I drove myself, and I had my walker in my front seat, and I would get out of my front seat and I would use my walker to get into therapy. And because I had a drive that I was going to be better. The only person that could get me out of that bed and get me away from that walker was me. It was going to be me, and I was going to freaking do it. But I got to inspire some people along the way. I got to tell them, you have to get out of that wheelchair. You have to do it. One of the first times that I got to ever inspire somebody was a lady chased me out to my car when I was leaving therapy, and I was kind of freaked out because at that point I couldn't run or get away. And she said, my daughter just wanted to tell you that you are so pretty and that you are so brave for being able to walk out of this therapy and do what you're doing. And she wanted to know if you would come and tell her what happened to you. She wanted to know what happened to a young, pretty girl like you. And I said, absolutely. And I just cried and cried. I couldn't not cry, because that was the first time that God was using me to speak to somebody else. And on top of that, it was a young girl that was battling some stuff. And being younger, it's not just about what you can't do. It's what kids say or what people think or, whatever. And when you're younger, you're not as strong. You're not an adult. You don't have that I don't care what you think attitude. It's all about what you look like and your presence and, But I just cried and cried because I was so happy that God was using me to be able to show somebody, you can do it. You can do it. But over the next year and a half, I had infections in my left foot. It kept being infected over and over again. I had surgery after surgery, and we said, okay, look, doctor, we need a second opinion. Can you give us somebody else? And he gave us a list of 3 doctors, and he said, well, this third doctor, he specializes in shattered bones and infections that won't go away. And so my first thought was, well, why the hell didn't you send me to him 9 months ago? Instead of playing with my life. This was my life that you just took 9 months of. Why didn't you send me to him a long time ago so I could move on with my life instead of using me as like a guinea pig for you to see if you could do this, if you could fix my foot? No, that's not right. So I went to this new doctor, and it was just another appointment. My mom and Todd said, you want us to go with you? And I said, no, I got it. I can drive to Houston with my eyes closed at this point. So first thing he says was, have you ever thought of amputation? And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to act. I just started crying. And I said, no, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to give it up. I'm not ready to give up this fight. I just want my foot fixed so I can move on. And he said, okay.